Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 16 of this season 2 of A Conversation with Cometan. I'm really excited today to be speaking to you guys really in a sort of more informal format and just talking about really this idea of the growth of atheism, essentially. I want to kind of address really and this sort of trend that seems to have sort of taken hold where reduced religiosity, you could say. And I really want to discuss that in today's video and just sort of give my views on it. So let's get straight into it. Well, primarily, I have a really kind of a unique, you could say, position in this debate regarding the decline of religion, essentially, because, of course, I'm the founder of Astronism, and, of course, that means, I am the founder of a new religious movement, a belief system that definitely has, religious elements part of it. So, for me, decline in religiosity is sort of a mixed bag of emotions, really. It makes me feel sort of that there's opportunity, but it also makes me feel worried, concerned about the future and about sort of the state of Western society, particularly, because this is generally where this decline in religiosity, decline in belief is taking place. And I just kind of wanted to go through a couple of key topics within this sort of broader area of the decline of religion in the West. So what I wanted to begin with really firstly is sort of this, I use the term a lot, belief identity. And I use this when I'm discussing my work in freedom of religion or belief, this idea that, people have a sense of identity from what they believe. A Catholic has a belief identity when they refer to themselves as Catholic. That is their belief identity. That is the personal identity based on what they believe or the religion to which they are associated with. So there is this growing sense of this growing trend, you could say, this growing sense of association with atheism as a belief identity. And I just wanted to make some clarifications about this, and also with science as well. A lot of people now, a growing amount of people associate their identity with science. So they say that they believe in science. They believe in the institution of science. And I don't really have any problem with that. The problem becomes when science is intertwined with atheism. And that's the problem that I have. To me, anyone who really believes in science or anyone who truly is a scientist wouldn't necessarily be an atheist because, of course, science is based on empiricism. It is based on observation. And to say that there is no God is it's a sort of it could be true that there is no God, and you could based on empirical observations, definitely you could claim that there is no God, but you can't necessarily claim that there is no God. And this is sort of an argument that has taken place definitely within the last sort of 100 or so years within philosophy. But even before that, in terms of this idea that you can't prove God exists, but you can't prove God doesn't exist type of idea. And that debate will rage on. That debate will rage on no matter what, and it should rage on. It should continue. The problem comes when people associate their identity with atheism by asserting that science is behind them essentially, or supports their view. Actually, any true scientist would be agnostic on the concept of God. Any true scientist would be agnostic because they can't verify that God doesn't exist. They can't verify that this phenomenon that has been spoken about, believed in, engaged with by millions of people, billions of people all around the world since prehistoric times, since human evolution itself. They can't prove that doesn't exist. And so, of course, really, when people say that they are atheist, what they should really be saying is that they're agnostic, because they can't prove that God doesn't exist, essentially. So that's the first issue. And of course you can be an atheist and say that you believe there is no God. So that's absolutely fine. But to say that science is behind you in that there is no God is a little bit, to me, disingenuous, because that is not the case. Science can't make assertions about God because God acts beyond the laws of nature, and that is what science studies. And in effect, the problem comes when this is associated with identity, and in the society that we live in, it seems that more and more people are associating science with their belief identity, which doesn't really make sense, because science is supposed to be associated with empiricism, no belief. You don't need belief to engage with science. Science is not about belief. It's about, observation. And so I don't kind of get this thing. It's a strange thing that's taken place. I don't necessarily think it's wrong. I just think it's strange, and I just think that there's just some inconsistencies there for me with regards to that. If I was an atheist, I would actually I'd have to identify as agnostic, because I wouldn't be able to prove that there wasn't a God. And for me, things need to be disproved in order for them not to be true. I need to see that there is proof counteracting what the statement is being made, rather than just lack of proof that there is no God. Do you know what I mean? I think there needs to be sort of that counter proof for me, especially with something like this topic. Yes, other things maybe not, but particularly with the topic of God, for me, there needs to be that. So that's one thing, and I don't want to get too involved in that. I just wanted to make a short statement about this idea that really these people who refer to themselves as atheists should really be referring themselves as agnostic, really, because them asserting that there is no God suggests, well, do they know more than what we know? Science has never made the assertion that there is no God. It's just saying that there's a lack of evidence for God. So that doesn't say that there isn't a God. It just says that there's a lack of evidence for God. It doesn't mean that evidence doesn't exist somewhere, or that there aren't ways and means of engaging with God, and sort of different understandings of God, different interpretations of God as well. And like I said, the issue comes when this is being used in sort of a societal situation where, that there are, this is being intertwined with identity, and there's just strange things taking place, put it that way. And so that leads me on to sort of my second sort of statement and sort of area of discussion that we can speak about, which is really the broader decline of religion in the West. And again, like I've mentioned in the introduction, I do have a pretty unique position, pretty unique place in this discussion, because of course, yes, as I mentioned, I'm the founder of Astronism, which is a new religious movement. It is a belief system. It is a philosophy. It is a religion, a religious philosophy, whatever you want to call it. So therefore you'd think that the decline of religion for me is a threat. I don't see it as a threat at all. I see it as really something that is an opportunity for me professionally and for Astronism itself as a separate entity. I see that as an opportunity, because within Astronism, you can be an atheist, you can be an agnostic and still be an astronist, because belief in God is not contingent on being an astronist. So, of course, therefore, you could be atheist, or agnostic, and still believe in Astronism and still associate with it. So, of course, there is that side of things, that sort of opportunity. You know, this is a fertile ground for groups now that are sort of more alternative as well to take the lead, perhaps new ideas, new belief systems, you know, new forms of belief. I try and promote this idea of astroncy, a type of belief system based on outer space or space exploration. This is, you know, distinguished from religion, distinguished from spirituality, distinguished from philosophy, these other types of belief systems. And so I think with the decline of religion, there will be ample opportunity for astroncy and astronism and other types of new belief systems, new religions to hopefully come to the forefront, I hope, to make sort of the religiosity of the human race more diverse, you know, more accessible more so than ever before in human history, perhaps. So it is very exciting, and it is a good opportunity for astronism, particularly. So, you know, we'll definitely be taking that opportunity to engage with these people who have walked away from perhaps their childhood religion, or just the religion altogether, engaging with them and sort of trying to say, look, there are other ways to see life, and there are other worldviews, and astronism is one of those. You may find it interesting. You may find that it works for you. So definitely there's opportunity there. But on the other side for me, so that's me thinking sort of as a new religious movement leader of Astronism, founder of Astronism. I want obviously Astronism to do well. I want Astronism, of course, to be successful and change the world. But then on the other side, there is this very big concern that I have about the decline of religion in the West. Not just the decline of the religion, decline of belief, decline of thought, which is really scary, which is what some, and this is what some media miss out when they talk about this issue. They talk about the decline of religion, but they don't mention at the same time decline in thought, decline in belief, decline in engagement with topics that religion addresses. So it's not just a case of that people aren't going to church anymore. It's a case that people aren't engaging with topics that religion addresses, very important topics that are existential, things that address the basic fundamental existential elements of life. So that's what news media don't often refer to when they do these types of articles. You know, the headline often reads "Decline in Religion" or "Decline in Christianity." They don't mention decline, also the scary decline, which decline in religion is not too scary. It's not too scary, but the decline in thought and belief and engagement with these topics that religion addresses, that is what scares me. And that is what I'm trying to push back against. So fine, if you don't want to go to church, don't go to church, but don't then not think about the things that religion addresses. Don't just distract yourself with sport, music, films, and all of the cultural things and not address topics that religion addresses and philosophy and spirituality address. Okay, that's what I'm trying to push back against. And in effect, that's why I've founded Astronism at the same time, because you know, I want Astronism to be a force for bringing back this thought, bringing back belief in some way, but it just in something new, in something different, in obviously the astronomical world. So that's what's scary to me, is this idea that, you know, there is a decline in thought. And also what we need to consider as well with the decline of religion is the decline of mental health. Now, there have been some studies conducted on this area, but not a lot, and more needs to be done in terms of the research. But personally, and this is just by my own experience in the world, people that I talk to, you know, I am a new religious movement leader, so I am talking to people about these topics, about life in general on a day-to-day basis. I'm not just someone off the street who's talking about this. I am someone who engages with people with these topics on these types of issues, and in terms of mental health as well, I'm engaged with these debates. And what I found is, well, a huge increase, of course, in mental health issues and a huge decline in religiosity. And I kind of can't make a correlation. I can't make a correlation because a definite correlation has not yet been established for this, but I'm going to hypothesize that there is a correlation between those two things. The rise in mental illness and the rise, not just in mental illness, but in depression and anxiety and just feeling lost, you know, these more general, lesser feelings of sort of loss and feeling lost and depressed to some degree. I'm not really talking about mental health issues in terms of schizophrenia here or psychosis and things like that. I'm not saying that that a lack of religion is because of those. I'm talking about sort of less severe mental health issues. I think there is a correlation there between that and particularly depression to me. Vast majority of people that I've come across who are depressed or who have experienced depression in the past have rejected not just religion, but all types of life guidances, you could say, all types of life stances, where they've sort of reduced their beliefs, their convictions, their vocations down to atheism and nihilism. And getting to that stage, I think, would send pretty much anybody downhill in terms of their well-being, to be honest. I don't like nihilism. I think it's only to be engaged with by people who, by essentially professional philosophers, essentially, people who have the capacity to deal with the kind of concepts that nihilism presents. I don't think nihilism is a sustainable life philosophy or life stance. I think that's what scares me about this sort of decline in religion, is a decline also in belief in the meaning of life and in the meaning and in morals, you could say as well, to some degree, morality, ethics, you know, general, yes, meaning of life, existential questions. So I think there is definitely, I believe there's a correlation there. I think more research definitely needs to be done in order to sort of make that more of a concrete correlation, maybe I'll be doing the type of research myself. I'll hopefully in the future I might get that chance. But I do think there is a correlation there. Because I mean, it is a rational correlation to make. I mean, if you, let's just think about it. If you have no meaning to your life, if there is nothing that is guiding you, whether that be a spiritual guidance or just a humanistic philosophical guidance, if you don't have sort of a life philosophy, whether that be a religious one, a spiritual one, or a secular humanist one, you're gonna face problems. And, you know, a lot of life philosophies are about overcoming those problems in life, those tribulations. And if you don't have the tools, the abstract tools to overcome those tribulations, you're going to find it really hard in life, and you're going to find it very difficult to overcome those tribulations. So if you think about it that way, more likely to end up with mild to severe mental illness and also depression at the same time. So to me, I think it's a very rational correlation to make, that if there is a decline, not just in religion, but in belief and thought of these types of things, then, you know, there is definitely going to be a decline in the sort of the mental well-being of the citizenship and of humanity as a whole. So those are some of the things that I'm kind of worried about to some degree. But like I said, at the same time, you know, I founder of a new religious movement, so I see this as a great opportunity for Astronism to come in and fill the void to some degree. Another area that I think is concerning is when the media, especially sort of liberal, left-leaning media, which is the majority of media, of course, when they do these sort of religion decline stories, they sort of praise the rise of atheism, which really means agnosticism, essentially. And to some degree, I'm an agnostic. So I'm not anything against agnostics, just to put it that way. But they frame it in such a way that this is a great thing that is taking place, but they're not providing us with any alternatives to fill the void that religion is left. And that's another thing I want to sort of challenge these people with and to get you to think about is, okay, religion may not mean anything to you as an individual, but it has had a significant impact on society as a whole. So if that impact and that institution of religion is removed, is taken away, is dissipated, what is going to fill that void? Some people may stick their head in the sands and think, well, nothing needs to fill that void because religion was bad anyway, so we'll be better off without it. There's nothing that needs to fill that void in society. I would really disagree with that. I think something really does need to fill that void. Can humanism do it? Possibly. It might be able to do that. I'm not against humanism filling that void or any other atheistic belief system. I'm not against that at all. I'm just wondering whether it can do that. Whether it can do that is the question that I sort of pose here. But I think ultimately, I think the decline of religion to some degree will be a good thing. So I suppose I should sort of create this as like a conclusion, really, an evaluation of what we've just discussed, is that I think, yes, religion, the decline of religion to some degree, especially organized Abrahamic religions, will be a good thing in terms of definitely freedom of religion or belief, because new alternative faiths or minority communities will be able to live in greater levels of freedom, definitely, because one religion isn't controlling the society and isn't controlling the rest of the religions in that society. So I think that'll be a really good thing and a really positive area. It will sort of democratize religion and belief in the sense that new religious movements will be able to come along and attract people and, you know, provide them with what they need in life. So I think that's a really positive thing that the decline of organized religion will do. Do I think that it's entirely positive? No. Like I've said, I think that there is a correlation between decline in mental illness and the rise in mental illness and the decline in sort of religion and belief. I think there is a correlation there. And at the same time, I do think though that there could be something like humanism, Astronism, maybe, or another new religious movement or philosophy or secular philosophy that could fill the void of that religion, that the decline of religion is leaving. And I think that we have to accept that there is a void there. There's people who I know who discuss this topic who suggest that there is no void that is being left by the removal of religion from society. And I just really don't agree with that. I think that is really ignorant. Those people know that there's a void that is being left here. They just don't want to admit it because it puts an obstacle in their path, doesn't it? It puts an obstacle in their goals. And this is the final thing that I wanted to really talk about here is what is the goal of the decline of religion? We've spoken, obviously I've spoken today about the decline of religion in the West and the positives and negatives associated with it, and also issues regarding belief identity is intertwined with science and atheism. But what is the goal of this? I mean, I was watching the Young Turks, which is a YouTube channel, and there was one video where they were talking about this topic of the decline of religions, and then I just felt like, and they seemed so happy about it. And I get that to some degree. I do get that because a lot of their morals don't align with what religion is, and they don't believe in religion, of course. But then at the same time, I really, really wanted to ask them, well, what is the goal of this? If you're happy about what is the goal? If we all become atheist, if we all become agnostic and atheists, or, well, if we all become agnostic and then to some degree also believe in atheism, what is the goal with that? Where do we go from there? You know, is that going to be the utopian society? Because then you're starting to bring in things like utopianism. You know, the idea that, you know, if we all become atheist, then we'll be in a sort of cruelty-free, oppression-free society, which we know is not the case, because in every society there's always something that will try to control, or there will be always something that is wrong in that society, or some group that is oppressed within that society. We know that it's just human nature. That's why freedom of religion or belief is a continual monitoring activity. It is not just, we've achieved freedom of religion in this country, let's move on to the next one. No, we have to monitor it forever, unending. You know, it's something that's continually under threat. So what I want to ask these people, what is the goal, and what does a totally atheistic or majority atheistic society look like? I really want people to think about that. not just an atheistic society, but a society that doesn't care about religious topics, I think, is really, really important for people to be thinking about when we're talking about this topic. They won't want to think about it, but I think that it needs to be discussed. I mean, what would that look like? So we are in an atheistic society. What happens now? What happens now? We're all humanist. Okay. What happens now? Where do we get our sense of life meaning from? Well, we get it from consumerism and materialism. Will that satisfy people forever? No, we know that it won't, because we know that consumerism and materialism and these types of philosophies of life, hedonism to some degree as well, that they don't fulfill people. They may fulfill some people who don't think in a deeper level, but they won't fulfill all people, especially those who think on a deeper level, who need that sort of deeper, perhaps, but not necessarily a spiritual element to their lives. So that's the question that I would like to end this video on, is what would an atheist society look like? And I want people to answer it seriously. Not just, I mean, there will be comments, of course, that say, you know, an atheist society will be free of religious oppression. Okay, fine. But let's take a more serious look at it. What would that actually look like? Okay. Are we going to get rid of Christmas, or are we going to get rid of all types of religious holidays because they don't really mean anything? I mean, Christmas now in the UK is not even a religious event, to be honest. It is a consumer event. It is a commercial holiday, to be honest. It's not even a religious one anymore. So to call Christmas a religious holiday is really quite laughable. I mean, Christmas hasn't been religious for many, many years here in the UK. So maybe for some people, of course, it still is. But for the vast majority of people, especially younger people, it is not a religious holiday. It is a commercial one. And it's one where money is to be made. And that's the extent of Christmas's importance. So what's the point in keeping that if Christianity is not true, or if religion is a load of rubbish? Let's get rid of Christmas then. What is life? What is life if we are living in a society where people don't think about these things? People don't have a philosophy, a religion, a spirituality, a belief system in general. A humanist society? Okay, fine. Maybe that might be something that we could look into. Maybe that might be the future. This is what scares me. This is what scares me about it. Is that, okay, fine, get rid of religion, but what are you going to put in its place? I mean, I'm suggesting that it should be something like Astronism in its place. So I'm giving, that part of my advocacy, part of my career is that I want to say, yes, there is something alternative to religion. There is Astronism, there is astroncy. This is what I believe in, and this is what I promote. Whether the society will take that up is another question. People who don't take that up, what other things are there? Like I've said, there's humanism, or there's just nothing. There's just nothing. And that seems weird. That seems weird, doesn't it? We might get to this situation where majority of us are agnostic, which I already think has already taken place, to be honest. I think the majority of people in the UK especially, and even in the broader Western world, are agnostic already. So I think that's already taken place. Even people who identify as Christian, I think a lot of them are still agnostic. It's when we go to this thing of atheism or no religion or nothing, that's what scares me. And so I'll stop rambling now. I'll think about this further. It's a topic that is interesting, but it's also a topic that is very, very scary, I think, to some degree, because I think it has consequences that could severely affect society in quite a negative way. but I'll leave it at that. And I hope you've enjoyed. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's a little bit of a different one. I just wanted to kind of address this topic of the decline of religion because I see it so much in the news and on YouTube channels and things. So I just wanted to give my take on it and sort of my understanding of it. Of course, I've not been able to go through the entire topic in this one video. And there are things that I also wanted to add, but I've not been able to. So, of course, hopefully in the future, I'll be able to do more on this topic. But for now, I hope you've enjoyed episode 16 of season 2 of A Conversation with Cometan. And I hope that you're also looking forward to the finale of season 2, which is going to be taking place next week, which is episode 17, of course, of A Conversation with Cometan, which will be focusing on my recent lecture on, well, it's not taking place right now because I'm filming this on the 6th or 7th of July, I think it is. The 6th of July today. So it's not actually taken place yet, but by the time this video is uploaded, it will have taken place. And that is going to be the TerraSem Space Day. I am going to be doing a lecture there. And so I'm really excited about that. It's going to be about Astronism. It'll be sort of like a short introduction to Astronism. So I'm very excited to be doing that. And that will be the finale of season 2 of A Conversation with Cometan. I wanted to thank as well, because I won't get a chance to do it in the next video. So I wanted to thank everyone for the support that they've been provided me this season. It's been a great season. We've had a lot of interesting debates. Of course, this season has been a lot more sort of lecture heavy than the previous season, season 1, which was much more based around interviews. So I apologize if you're sort of fed up of listening to my voice only, but I hope you enjoyed the different conversations that I've had this season with Adriano Tino, Stephen Wolf. I hope you enjoyed the Vicinal Assembly back in April. And I'm just really looking forward to engaging with these topics even more. And of course, you will see me for the final episode again, episode 17 of season 2 of A Conversation with Cometan, to be uploaded next week. I hope you've enjoyed today's video and I will see you then. So bye guys.